cutting-edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. Part 2 with Lisa Schermerhorn is back. We have Reiki Master, Shaman, Alchemist, Life Between Lives, Hypnotherapist, and by the way, just a brand new, as of 2 weeks ago, newly minted #1 best-selling author for a brand new book, And Every Belief is a Lie. And before we move to her, we have to jump into one of our benevolent and enlightening partners of our programming. And as a result of this, having these partners of our programming allows me to bring this show to you to share it with the world so you can hear and see what this amazing company is doing to help people generate more health and wealth for humankind. Right now, we'll be right back with Lisa after this brief message from Roots. Everybody, I want to tell you about the all-natural quantum wellness products that it helps reverse the nasty effects of those toxic arm thingies. You get it, right, Sommerts? This is Roots. So here's the thing. It also dramatically heals your gut. It skyrockets creativity and it boosts mental focus. I've been using it for 8 months. An incredible amount of insight has come into it. When you go to therootbrands.com/soul, use the code SOUL, and you'll get $15 off applied to shipping of your next order. It also increases your biosphere. As a Reiki Master, I can tell you that the vibrational uplift of these products is second to none. So here's the thing, they also have zero-in product. This is what rapidly boosts consciousness with intention and decalcifies the pineal gland. What's so good about that? It also gives you incredible amounts of focus without caffeine. This is all natural. When you go to therootbrands.com/soul, use the code SOUL, you also get a new code for you and you can set up your own distributor business. In fact, around the world, there are laid off benevolent healers, healthcare heroes, parents, and now tier 1 special operators no longer being deployed who have worked their careers to be benevolent and serve the greater good of humanity. Well, some of those people are making big chunks of money every single month by sharing these all-natural products with people, and we're seeing amazing reviews. I mean, even with the Gimme Back My Youth product, which is all natural, there's women claiming their wrinkles have disappeared in just 5 to 7 days, and they look 25 years younger. This is all natural. All of that and more when you visit rootbrands.com/soul. Use the code SOUL and you get $15 off applied to the shipping of your second order. By the way, when you add Roots Prime shipping, it often ships within just 2 business days to over 50 countries on the planet. And this makes it easy. You set it once, it sends to you every single month. Of course, you can cancel at any time, but when you see and feel the amazing effects of the world's first quantum consciousness, nootropic, and natural detoxifier, then why would you want to? In fact, I just had 3 separate guests on my show, from a psychic to a director, from the UK and Ireland, all the way across North America to a best-selling author. All 3 of these amazing humans are using Roots, and they cannot say enough about its incredible virtues and how it's affected them and made positive impressions on their life and in their biosphere and their ethereal light bodies. So this includes removing the deadly graphene oxide and the heavy metals. Clean Slate is one of those from the system. You know what I mean here. You know, if you know, right? Health is wealth, right? And doctors agree shedding is a thing. We've seen that from Dr. Martin, Dr. Thorpe, Dr. Christian Northrup, Dr. Jane Ruby, Dr. Ariana Love. There are so many medical studies now showing that the shedding from people who have got it, even onto the people that are purebloods, those purebloods are being affected. So the Roots products, the Trinity Plus pack, is one of the most amazing all-natural products that not only protects your body, but anything you've come into contact with, it'll shed and remove it from you with grace and ease. As a major reinsurance CEO in the United States recently declared in his Nuremberg deposition, his company has seen a 5,000% increase in mortality of their policyholders in the past year. So to help combat shedding, you order the Trinity Pack Plus. It comes with the Clean Slate, all right, which is drops that you just put under your mouth, a few a day. You'll find the protocol there, as well as one of these 0-in tablets that give you incredible clarity, creativity, and tap into higher levels of consciousness, which your soul is craving for. And this also helps protect your loved ones naturally, so you detoxify your body while amplifying your day with incredible energy and laser-like focus. Who doesn't want that, right? That's exactly what we have right now. So join tens of thousands of people around the globe now enjoying their best life because of these incredible American-made all-natural health products, which heal the body and massively boost the consciousness of each soul. You go to therootbrands.com/soul, add Roots Prime to it, use the code SOUL at checkout, and you'll get $15 off applied to the shipping of your second order, and they'll send you a link that you can use, if you choose, to have your own distribution business to generate massive amounts, potentially, of monthly recurring income. Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, this is part 2 of our interview with Lisa Schermerhorn. If you'd like to see part 1, or you missed it, head on back to our channels, Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, podcasts everywhere, and take a listen, have a look.
Folks, just imagine what you could do if you did believe that you had past lives and this isn't your first kick at the can. What would you be able to do? Who would you be able to be? And how would you be able to show up in the world to gift yourself to the world if you knew what your soul's purpose was in this lifetime? You had that purpose. If you knew who was in your soul tribe that was here to help move you forward, propel you forward. And what if you had all these talents? Let's just imagine, like I just had with Mark Atwood, 1,600 lifetimes on this earth is what he believes he's had. So imagine all the life lessons you've had, like he did, in 1,600 lifetimes, and you were able to call upon those life lessons and those skills now in this lifetime. So you don't have to learn through that, go through that traumatic experiences, and you could literally flex those muscles
And
right now.
I ended up, when we talked about the self-doubt, I'd been trying to write a book for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat in front of literally computer screen, I don't know, for countless hours. I wrote something garbage about 10 years ago, and I would sit in front of a psychic and they would say, "Where's your book? Where's your book?" And I had it from multiple people, and I was like, "What book? I have nothing to say." And I would sit there and say, "What do I have to offer that other people haven't said before?
Right.
Who am I to write a book? I wasn't a great student." I had all of these belief systems. And I always say, it's like, imagine traveling a highway and you have your destination over there at the end, and then you put these giant boulders there that I put myself.
Right.
And it's always interesting because even though I do this work for other people, I was still struggling with my own beliefs around what I had to offer to write a book.
Right.
I sat down and I made a list of everything. And I started releasing. And then I called one of my alchemy teachers. And I said, I need someone who does what I do, because no one else that I know does the energy work and the hypnosis and has the connection to Damanhur with all the magical stuff. It's Hogwarts, by the way. Yeah. It's true Hogwarts. Awesome. So she helped me with visualization. And so I kept visualizing myself, and we did all this hypnosis around visualizing myself with a book complete on a stage in a green dress. And the thing is that then, as I released everything, and then in January, I got introduced to this product, Roots, that you've talked about. Yeah. And I'm very ADD. I don't sit and concentrate and focus for a long period of time. I have major shiny object syndrome. Yeah. And I started the products, and I don't sell. I mean, I just buy it for myself. So I'm not, I'm a little testimonial here for you, but I started taking it, and the 0-in especially all of the sudden, and I have a friend of mine who's living with me right now, and she was hysterical. I've never seen anyone sit and write for hours and hours and hours at a time. 5 months, I just couldn't stop. And the information was pouring through me. I got the title, and I want to show you this because it's really cool. It's called In Every Belief is a Lie.
Yes.
And if you look at the lie is in the word belief.
Right.
And I wish you could see the image, but it's
we'll post it up here in the edit.
Yeah. So it's me crossing my fingers, which is, you remember as a kid when I don't know if you had this, but if you crossed your finger when you lied, it didn't count.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why my fingers are crossed. I didn't explain that in the book. I should have, but that was the purpose of the crossing of the fingers.
Right.
And I started investigating. My work is like how people are programmed, and how from birth until 7, Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about this. There's actually science behind this.
Yeah, because we're so open. Everything is just open, and we're tapped into all the fields. We can, many people could see the spirits, talk to spirits. They've got the downloads from some of their past lives. The veil of amnesia was not always inserted over people. It's exciting that we're talking to you about this too. And we're Lisa Schermerhorn, a shaman, an alchemist, a white witch, good witch. Can't really say that too many times on the boob too. Reiki Master, peak performance coach, award-winning author, best-selling, shaman mama, divine lioness, bringing in the divine feminine protection that we all need, and doing amazing things to free souls from the soul trap on this world. All right, whether you believe so or not, maintain an open mind, use your own discernment, feel what resonates for you, leave what doesn't. It's totally cool. There's all spiritual lockdown on our consciousness and epigenetics. I'd love to hear more about that. Dr. Bruce Lipton has also shared it too, but you are more than qualified as a peak performance mindset coach. I'll remind some folks here, and you have this divine channeling and capability with Sekhmet, who is this deity of divinity and compassion from Egyptian lifetimes. You've been in multiple sacred mystery schools, which really aren't so much of a mystery when you wake up to the conscious alignment that we have as souls who may have reincarnated on Earth or other planets for many, many generations, sometimes hundreds of thousands of lives, maybe for billions of years. Over to you, my girl, and congratulations on your book. Look forward to getting it. And the #1 best-selling author, award-winning author. Here we go. Brand new minted.
Oh
Thank
my
you
God.
so much for being back here.
I found out that the actual writing of the book was the easiest part. It took me 20 years to write. Roots was amazing again, because I have extreme ADD and I could never sit still. And that product was amazing because it really allowed me to focus in and sit for hours at a time. I'm 5 months, 6 months of writing nonstop. But getting back to what happens is we are actually born, we actually have 5 major brain frequencies that we move in and out of. The first one that we're born with is called delta, and delta is this big wave. And if you think about what a newborn has to absorb, it's enormous. Color, sound, language, it's just extraordinary. Touch, smell, taste. We absorb enormous amounts of information at that stage, and then we start to get into elementary school and we go into theta, which is another wave. Again, absorbing all of this information. So what we're absorbing is our parents' belief systems, our parents' religions, our parents' values. And if your parents have different set of values, then there's a conflict. You might absorb your mother's values and your brother or sister absorbs your father's values. You also have things from friends, your teachers, your religion, where you live. If you grew up in the country, if you grew up in the city, so many things impact where our beliefs come from. And one of the things that I always say is if you were to draw a lens And you have this big lens, and you put in that lens all the things that make you up. Like, I grew up in New Jersey, and I went to public school, and I had a belief that I wasn't smart. I was artistic and creative. So I put all of those things. I was raised in the Jewish faith. So I have all these things in a lens that I see the world through. Is that the same as the lens that you see the world through? Your whole background is different. Your programming is different. So you're going to see the world through different eyes. Does that make you wrong? No. And I always go to say, imagine you have one person that's watching MSNBC and another person that's watching Fox News. Both people who are watching those shows believe they're getting the truth. Mm-hmm. How is that so? We've now created a paradox. How can both people watch the news and think they're both getting the truth? So what is the truth? They're each getting part of the truth, and some of the truth is missing. And there's a story about 6 blind men and an elephant. And if you have 6 blind men looking and touching different parts of the elephant, they're all going to describe differently. One's at the trunk, one's at the leg, the other one's at the tail, and then the other one is along its side. It's a big wall. No, it's like a rope. And they're arguing, and then someone comes up and says, "You're all right, because you all have a piece of the puzzle." And that's the problem in life. As we judge people and we have these, beliefs that we think, I'm right and you're wrong. None of us have the absolute truth. We just don't. So going into the programming, when we hit the state of alpha, which is that state that is that meditative state, the daydream. Have you ever driven and gotten to a destination and don't remember how you got there, or you're daydreaming? That's state of alpha. Yeah. And that is also a very powerful state to absorb information. As a matter of fact, I teach people there's something called the how through the huna, where you take your fingers and you bring them out into a lazy eye stare. Mm-hmm. And you want your peripheral vision to go out as far as it can, and you'll automatically glass eye. When you're in that state, you're in an extreme learning state.
Really? So
by
doing this, you're going into an extreme learning state. So it's literally something, as long as it's in my peripheral.
Yeah. So if you have a lazy eye, you have a lazy eye stare. Okay. And do you feel like, and you can see your fingers, see how far back. So you have this, and then take a deep breath. And you feel yourself, do you feel more relaxed now?
I actually do, yeah.
Yeah. So if you maintain this state while you're learning, while you're at school, while you're studying, or you want to absorb lots of information, and then you put yourself back in that state when you want to bring it back out for tests. And if you have a speaking gig, when you want to learn the information, you put yourself into that state. And then you put yourself back to recall the information.
Wow. Cool.
So this is how we can use the different brain waves and the different states of information. Then we're in beta, which is once you're finished with this and coming back out of it, coming back out of alpha into beta. And beta is where we have our normal conversations at. This is where talk therapy happens. This is where all of our day-to-day information. And then we have gamma, which is where your Buddha is up there, where you have these Tibetan monks that will sit for hours on end, and they go into these gamma states. But we generally go in and out of pretty much beta and alpha through our days, mostly. And what happens is, if you had a trauma when you're 5 years old, it's stored in a different part of your brain. That's why hypnosis and all these different alternative therapies that can put you into a trance state, you can access that information. And that's where the healing happens. Mm-hmm. I love therapy. I've been to therapists, and they give you a lot of great information. My daughter is a licensed clinical social worker. I love I love her and the work she does. But what I will tell you is when you go into a trance, when you go into a deep meditative state, and I ask your higher self, take me to the root cause of your anxiety, and boom, you go to 5 years old where something happened, or a phobia or a fear. Oh my God, I almost drowned in a pool. I didn't even remember that.
Right.
We release it, we let it go, and replace it with what you wish you could have had instead. Because what I do is I take people back to a memory, replace it, release it, replace it to what they wish they could have had. And I call it time traveling for the emotions, because we can't change what happened, but we can change the way you feel about it.
Right.
Now, I'm not a mental health counselor. So I cannot say that I do things in the mental health field legally.
Thank God.
So what I can say is it helps
I just
with
triggered
stress.
some people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say I help with stress. I help with a lot of things. I had a woman who came to me who has been depressed her entire life. We had to go through she had some inherited beliefs from her grandparents. And she brought them in. So there's something called the science of epigenetics, where they actually took a bunch of mice and they had them smell this particular smell, and they gave them shocks until they associated with that smell. Their grandpups, when they smelled that smell, would run without being shocked. That's evolution. That's how we work. Right. We also inherit the good stuff. We have generations that came here to Canada and the United States from other countries. And these are courageous people coming to a new land with new language and all of that. So we also inherited the good, but we also inherit the struggles, the traumas, the difficulties from our ancestors. I had a client that is in Mexico. He is of Aztec and Mayan descent. And we did a healing going back 10 generations this morning.
Wow. What a bloodline. Lots of stuff that's happened to those cultures.
What they have done to them is atrocious. It's atrocious. But going back to the whole thing with your thoughts, is that I had this belief that I wasn't smart. I had these beliefs that what did I have to offer? When I released those, I was able to start now manifesting. I could start visualizing and believing it at a deep level that I could accomplish that. So when I was doing this work to visualize, I kept seeing myself on stage holding a book, wearing a green dress. Months later, I was invited right around my book was coming out to speak on stage. And I had been with friends going shopping, and I had completely forgotten about the image of the green dress. Wow. So we went shopping, and they pulled out this dress and like, look at this beautiful color. You have to get this dress. It looks so pretty on you. And I got home and I realized I had the green dress.
Awesome.
Yep. So visualizing is very important, and releasing. And the other thing that I talk about is the act of forgiveness. It's one of the most critical things that you can do. And it's not about exonerating the person who harmed you. But what you're doing is not carrying it anymore. It's like dropping that backpack full of bowling balls. Because when you walk around with resentment, one of my favorite sayings is like swallowing a poison pill, expecting the other person to die.
Right.
You're carrying around this huge weight. It's exhausting. It's taking up 70 to 80% of your thoughts. When you put that down, you are now free. You free yourself, because when you're angry and resentful, they win.
Right.
It's not an easy concept, but also miracles happen. And there's a beautiful ritual called the Ho'oponopono again.
Ho'oponopono, yep.
Yep. And I did that as well. And I was part of a group. We were meeting on a regular basis, forgiving myself, forgiving others. which also creates this amazing place for miracles to happen. So we had started also talking about the idea of past lives and that past life work, right?
Let me jump in for a second, Lisa, on that, because it's very important, the power that it has in forgiveness. And like you mentioned, is you're not exonerating an individual that might have done a trespass against you. You know, some people are familiar with the background, some of the experiences that I've had and challenges in my life, especially at an earlier age. And going back to those people that have done that trespass, molestation, and rape against me as a child, there was a massive, you know, some people, this actually happened 3 months ago in a conversation when somebody found out about that with me, like, how can you speak like that? Just like I did now, conversationally about it. It's because I did the work and I released the charge against that I had carried all through my teenage, which I blocked, and parts of my adult life, which I blocked until my soul went, okay, it's time for you to wake up. And 2015 was a big fucking year, you know, the BFY for me, as well as some other things. And then by doing that, you're no longer carrying that. And then you have this space, and it's literally, so I'm giving you exact real life experience and examples, and just one of my own, that you can come back or get to arrive at a place of neutrality, right? I'm not saying I'm always going, I'm grateful that experience. You're grateful because I also learned what my soul had chosen to do. And that also gave me a purpose, right? And that part of that purpose is fueling my, mission to save 100 million children. Whether it's from those experiences or whatnot, but also to help provide them with their family that can bring them up in a very nice, benevolent environment. So maybe not. It was all for those reasons. I know some of the other ones, not important to share here for the audience's benefit. It's already got for my benefit, but you can do that with everything, whether it's a divorce. Lisa and I have both had those experiences, or other things, or loss of loved ones. I've had those, and you're not giving a complete exoneration, but you're also forgiving them, because most people may have already carried those in their epigenetics or been assaulted, and this is the only thing they know. And like, for example, with me. So I do want to compound the fact that this works. The courage comes from somebody saying, I'm willing enough to go into the work so I can release it, like let's tear off the Band-Aid and heal it once and heal it for good, and then move forward. Right? Like, why would you want to have a broken leg and keep a broken leg and carry a broken leg around in your life when you know that there's healing modalities that allow you to fix it, and it could be fixed in a day or a week or a month? So I wanted to drive that impact home for everybody.
Yeah, forgiveness creates miracles. And I will tell you, in the Ho'oponopono group that I was in for a year, and we were meeting weekly, and every single person reported a miracle happened. And I had someone who I hadn't spoken to in 14 years.
Yeah.
And I had them on, each person that I needed to do some forgiveness work with, on a separate index card. I had a stack this thick when I started.
Yeah.
And I would do the forgiveness work and say the mantra over and over again and tap the cards. There's a whole vibrational thing that happens when you do it. And one by one, as each had no longer had a charge, I would tear it up and throw it out.
Yeah.
And this person called me and said, I just wanted you to know that I've noticed that our relationship has changed, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and I miss you. And I was like, nothing had changed, nothing. And that to me was such an incredible confirmation. And when I was forgiving myself for thinking that I was stupid and all of those other things, it opened up the ability for me to finally write, because I said, okay, I can do this now.
Mm-hmm.
I forgave myself for that, because I knew deep down I wasn't stupid. As a matter of fact, it was the complete opposite. And people tell me that because I overcompensate. And if you saw the stack of certifications, don't tell people these things, but it's this constant need to learn because I would never feel smart enough. So I have so many tools in my tool chest. It's crazy. And this unbelievable love of learning.
Right.
And that was the shadow, and it's become my gift. Because in every shadow, all of our wounds are our greatest gifts when we heal them. Because no one knows that pain as great as you do. And when you heal that, then you have the ability. That's why you're so driven to save the children. If you hadn't had that experience, you wouldn't. And so my own wounding had driven me into helping other people and being the person that I was looking for 20 years ago. I don't want someone to have to go through 20 years of study unless they want to.
Right.
But I want to be the one-stop shopping.
Right. Yeah.
And if I can't help people, and I know a lot of other healers, I will send them to other people. If this is above my pay grade, I got a laundry list of people. So, yeah, but I love this work so much. And
It's
the
beautiful.
forgiveness part, absolutely number one.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. We're talking about programming. And what we did not do in part one was on this show, I always bring up 3 funny memes for the guest, surprise them with memes. And this is one that is 100% related to programming and how it is that some people choose to show up in life and the power of programming, right?
All right. I have a story for you about that. That's going to blow you away.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. A year ago, my daughter and her boyfriend bought a house, and they live in Massachusetts, and I had to drive from Vermont to Massachusetts. I had gotten over the border, and there was a flashing sign that was instructing people to go get this taken care of.
Right.
And I had a voice in my head that was telling me, and it was so strong that I had my fingers on the wheel and everything I could do to keep myself, because it was literally compulsive. It was like, you need to go get off and go to the pharmacy and take care of that. And I knew it wasn't my own voice. And knowing as being a hypnotist and studying the subconscious mind, I knew it wasn't my voice.
Right.
But it was compelling. I fought it for 5 miles. Then another sign said the same thing.
Really?
Happened again. And I was like, what is happening here? I called my friends afterwards, and we all connected. And I said, I don't know what just happened to me, but I just need to go on record that this was weird.
Yep.
And then a month later, I was listening to Cliff High, if you're familiar with him. And he was talking about something. I don't know if I can say this, but there's satellites.
We can speak in code for YouTube, and BiTrue and Rumble will be great. So we're gonna
so it's called the voice of a higher being.
Right.
That was
Technology.
referred to. Yes. And these things that were coming through and programming us, and MK thingy, through our technology.
Yep.
And so that is a huge reason why you can talk to someone, present them with actual evidence. And I've seen it. Their eyes glaze over.
There's
and
voices
smile.
in their head, and it's not even theirs.
Yeah.
And this is technology, folks. We're not talking about, woo-woo entities, whatever. This is technology. Putting voices in people's heads.
My understanding is that they were all destroyed. So those aren't there anymore, to my understanding. They were taken down. But I don't know how long it will take for these people to deprogram. Right. Because you have to want it.
Yeah, you definitely have to want it. This is, part of what we do in all of our work with sharing information and healing people. There's, again, supplements that we mentioned with roots as to evacuate the system. There's clinically proven studies that it helps evacuate and reverse all of that. And that's all I can say here for the YouTube. Hey everybody, it's Brad here. Our show will continue in a moment real quick. If it resonates with you, drop a like, follow us, and subscribe to the show. Hear from cutting-edge guests who are experts in their field, have a lot of laughs, and discover some powerful tips on how you can thrive through 2025 in this amazing golden era of humanity. So give us a like, drop a comment, follow us right now as we fight back on the war being waged on humanity right now. And by the way, if you feel so inclined, please do share this with 9 friends, family, and colleagues as well. I'm deeply honored you're listening to this. Thank you for doing so right now. For those many of you who have taken that step. And here we go, back to our show.
And absolutely, you know, my own experience to that point. And in fact, I was in Santa Monica in 2020 and for meetings on my script, and then they locked it down. All right, 2 weeks, slow the curve up to Vancouver. You go. Got on the bike, rode up the PCH, maybe 25 cars in a couple of days. It was so beautiful. You know, do the PCH up, and there was practically nobody. And every now and then, you know, there was 1 or 2 cars pulled over, and they're humpback whale spotting because the whales are migrating up the coast, California. So it was beautiful, beautiful. And so I go from the environment of, you know, Santa Monica, chaos, LA, studio stuff, to beautiful nature, which is what I'm inclined to. And then back to my condo in Vancouver. And, you know, I get into Vancouver, and in this condo, I'm just feeling, and yes, I'm empathic as well. I can pick up people's energy, but it was different. It was like that voice in the head that you said. I'm in the condo. I'm feeling like, wow, you know, I'm going to have to put this mask on everywhere I go, in the elevator, and do this for everybody. And I'm like,
wow.
And I get on the motorcycle because, you know, while they locked down the town, Castro's little bastard, who's head of the regime up there right now, he 100% is. DNA for sure. It's going to come out. 100%. By the way, this is entertainment purposes only, folks, right? And but this is just my opinion, and it seems like 11 million Canadians believe that opinion too. You're allowed out. All right, I don't have to wait for somebody to tell me. Off I go on the motorcycle. Off I go up the Sea Sky Highway, and that's all gone. That's gone. So you get out of the big city, and then that like fear, wear this, do this. And I'm like, this is crazy. You know, you feel like stuff's all over your back and your skin is crawling. At least that was my experience. So it's potent and it's powerful what they've been doing, and they can corrupt, and also turning on those towers, you know, those five golf towers, and broadcasting into your pineal gland. Now we've seen studies as well that it's been scientifically proven that they can alter your brain chemistry with those radio frequencies. And I can tell you, being a salesperson for RIM BlackBerry back in the day when the BlackBerry 950 pager came out, you know, just a few months after that, I was hired aboard, that, you know, there were certain protocols to the BlackBerry where they had to do the casing because it emitted too much radiation. And if it was on your hip, if you're a man, it could potentially sterilize you. Woman, it could potentially sterilize your ovaries, because of the power of the emission antenna in that BlackBerry. So they had those safety guidelines back then, supposedly. But that was part of it in development. I remember sitting there with developers in meetings, and, you know, you get to listen in about what they're doing to safely secure it, right? As well. So that was 2000, 22 years ago, right? In 2001 and 2. So just imagine what they're doing now, and have that capability. So give you some real good validation there to that story and what's happening to some people. It may not literally all be their fault, because they're literally being beamed, or were being beamed.
And that's why I always say
it's
important to have compassion, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's doing the best they can. And at one point I had a relative that was panicked because I had made a decision for my own personal self. I live in the middle of nowhere. I was like, we were laughing because when there was a lockdown, none of our lives changed because we still live in the middle of nowhere. And
love it.
And so it was just a very, very interesting thing, because they were sending me information convinced that I was going to die, terrified for me. And I just responded, thank you for loving me that much. And it stopped.
Yeah.
Because it is from a place of love. They're afraid.
That's right.
And now you're coming up against their autonomic nervous system, that part that runs from the saber-toothed tiger.
Yes.
And when that happens, the blood leaves the brain, goes out to the extremities, and your unconscious mind will grab onto the first thing that it believes is true.
Right.
So now it believes something that's true, and that's survival for them. So people have to understand that that's why people hold on to these beliefs so strongly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's fight or flight, and it's also the belief of survival. And for anybody that, since, Lisa's in a rural area, for anybody that believes that you're going to mess around with rural people, just time for another meme to come on up, especially you Vermonters. Right.
Well, this is so funny because I met Kevin the hunter, the deer hunter.
Yeah. And this is almost an everyday thing. It's like, have your coffee, go out there, do that, and then sit down and write your book. That every belief is a lie. And we talk about discernment, and I just want to throw up one more meme here as we keep going, because there's a funny parallel here about discernment, right? And there are people that are believing in what is a health official, right? And you take a look at the three entities shown here on the screen, and they are supposed officials. As a sovereign being, a man, a woman, you are your own health official. You don't need to rely on people to tell you how you should be. You can certainly take the information and see if it resonates. And that's part of deprogramming the systemization, the institution. And remember, I've said on many shows that the word government is a derivative of the two Latin words, governus mentis, right? Mentis is Latin for mind, governus is control. And like we've heard from our friend, so like we've heard from our friend Kevin, said, I'm running as an independent candidate for the government of Vermont, but ideally, I don't want to govern anybody, because to govern is to control. Literally, that's the Latin meaning, governus mentis. And they've been hiding it in front of everybody's face with the English language that, government is mind control. There you are. There's so many interesting things. And this is a language that goes back thousands of years and is purposely set up. And it's like they're laughing in your faces, folks. So yeah, screw big gov.
Exactly.
Screw governus mentis, right? So anyways, hi, Lewis, in case you're watching. Probably not, because he's got so many damn things going on, which is great. Damn good things, darn good things. So we were discussing ages 1 to 7.
Right.
I think that's really important because, number one, we know that you can go back before life, between lives. And I'd love to touch on that too, as I've had one of my life between lives practitioner, Melanie Smithson, on here from Colorado, and I did my very first one. And you have that experience and bring that to everybody's mindset. But the first 1 to 7 years is so formative for everybody to pick up. It's kind of like the child, and then we're a sponge, right? And we're starting to work on, let's recap, epigenetics. So what's in your DNA now is also programming, like a computer chip programming of what you've had in your family's lineage. And I do this and this because I'm thinking, my mom, French-Canadian, firstborn Canadian, they fled, the Nazis occupied Europe. Some of them went back and fought. My dad, firstborn Canadian, Polish-Ukrainian family descent, right? Farmers, fled from the Blitzkrieg. His mother had fled with her family in World War I. So we have all of that deprogramming, and then all of the stuff from Europe and all that melting pot and shite and good stuff as well that went on. So epigenetics, the kid as well, soul comes in, we're broadcasting, we're trying to figure out the world, alpha, beta, delta, theta, brainwave states, sucking it all in, learning what we're being told by the authorities, mom, dad, brothers, sisters, babysitters, you name it.
Religion.
And that's another big factor. Yep. Another system, another institution, right? And system should stand for save yourself time, energy, and money, right? When you're talking about certain things, but those systems are set up as governments of forms of control. What are then some of the things that people can do, either with you or other practitioners who are sitting here like, I have a challenge with this. This always seems to be a recurring pattern in my life, Lisa, and I'm sure you likely see that on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And I consider myself a detective because here's the thing.
Yeah.
We're here in this lifetime. So I always like to go in this lifetime first to clear things out, right? So if someone's had difficulties in this lifetime, everyone's had some kind of trauma. No one gets out unscathed.
Right.
So I like to go back through the life and clear it out. And just, it's like going through a car wash. Why not? Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
And then we
shower
have
every day.
Yeah. So just clear it. Just clear it all out.
Exactly.
And then we have these parts of us that sabotage us, these younger versions of us. For instance, let's say you're a child, parents neglectful or just, working 2 shifts, no one's home, and suddenly food becomes love. And now that becomes a belief system at 5 years old, that ice cream or whatever the food is now nurturing and nourishing and making me feel like love.
Right.
So now I'm now eating every time I don't feel love. That part thinks it's doing the right thing. It thinks it's doing a good job. And for the 5-year-old, yes. But when you're 40, 50, 60 years old, and now you've got an extra 40 or 50 pounds on you, every time you don't feel loved, you're eating a pint of ice cream.
Right.
That's a problem. So when everyone that I work with, even in weight loss, have already lost the weight. They yo-yo. They already know how to do it. But these hidden parts of us that keep causing us to do that hamster wheel, the same thing over and over again. And Einstein has that quote of, you can't solve a problem with the same mindset and the same beliefs that caused it. You have to shift your mindset to understand why you do the things that you do, heal it, and then replace it. So that's the important work that I do in the current life. Now we have past life, that there is trauma that people bring in from past life. Some people will come in remembering them. Other people will have phantom pain, phobias. All of a sudden they have this anxiety around, like my son as a little boy was terrified of bridges. I still have never done the work with him because he's like, Mom, and I don't want to work with my kids.
His choice. Yeah, exactly.
It's his choice. If he wants to do it, that's fine. But fear of heights, things like that you've never been traumatized about.
Yeah.
These are things that could be past life related. Then we have the epigenetics that we're dealing with, that we are inheriting through our lineage. So we are this giant soup. And anyone that says that we come in knowing who we are and we're a clean slate, I'm sorry. That's my own personal opinion, but we come in with karma. We come in with relationships, the karmic relationships with other people. We have things that we in the life between lives. Now, I talk about doing past life regression around this. Why do a past life regression? Why would someone need to even do it?
Yeah.
I've had several reasons. One reason is there's a recurring theme in your life. For instance, I had a woman, this is the only time that I've had someone that has been famous that, is reincarnated, but this was fascinating to me. She came to me and said, I have an obsession with the 40s. I can't explain why, but I have a farm here in Vermont, and all my goats are Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, Clark Gable. I listen to
Great
40s
time.
music.
Oh,
I wear
nice.
40s clothes, the hats, everything.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm obsessed. Could you please help me discover why?
Yeah.
And now she's cynical through the whole thing. She's like, I'm not really hypnotized. She's getting angry with me. We're going through the process. And she's like, I'm just making this up because this is what I think about all the time. I dream. I see myself in the Hollywood Hills. I'm in this mansion. I have this
the very
incredible
first thing that
view.
came up to me when you started telling the story. So it's so cool, the images.
Yeah, the Hollywood Hills.
Mhm.
And now I see myself with Clark Gable in a blue convertible. And
Mhm.
now I'm at the beach in this beautiful bathing suit. And now I'm with movie executives and I'm having this conversation. And now I'm on an airplane and I'm 33 years old and I was just killed in a plane crash. But wait a minute, I'm confused because I also saw a car crash. I don't know what this is. I got to go home. And she left angry, thinking she made the whole thing up.
Wow.
She went home and looked up Clark Gable. Carol Lombard was in a car crash and had scars on her face from the car crash in a convertible. Couldn't work in the movies for a while her face healed. Died in a plane crash at the age of 33.
Wow.
She called me and told me that. So people want to confirm that they have these memories that they're attached to, but oftentimes when someone has a sudden tragic death and the soul didn't have a chance to process, that they need a healing. So that's one reason why you want to do it. Another reason is we have certain skills and abilities that we acquire in each lifetime. When you have a past life regression, you're actually calling that forward because now you are conscious of it. So I oftentimes will have people call forward. Let's say you were an amazing artist in a past life or a musician or a great business person. We bring that past life person and integrate it. And what I will say is, Domineer's teaching around that is that we actually move in and out of these parts throughout the day. It's why certain times of the day we like to work out. Certain times of the day we're better at writing or doing our work. Some people are night owls. Some people do in the morning. But when you get inspired. So we have these qualities. So when you have awareness of them, it's really remarkable. Now, I've done many, many, many past lives. I also am trained with Dr. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls work, where you go and you do a past life. You come back a week later and you do 2 past lives in a row and you go up to the heavens consciousness.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't take that path. Okay, cool.
You go to the heavens consciousness and there's always a gate. There's always a gate and there's guides waiting for you.
I've got some more work to do.
Yeah. So you go in and you go to the gate and then from there on in, the guides are in charge. So the guides will take you if you need to go to the Akashic Records, which is the library, the Hall of Records that carries all the information from your lifetime. Edgar Cayce used to tap into that. That's where he got all of his information from.
Right.
So you could have a healing anywhere in the heavens consciousness that you need to visit. You also go to see your council because the council are the ones that oversee the decisions that are made when you decide to come in. Because you're like, I'd like to have an easy time this time. And they're like, well, seems to be there's some karma that's unresolved and you have this lesson and you come together and create this. And then you have your guides that help ensure as best they can, because you still have free will, to have these things happen, to create these things. So do we have free will or is everything predetermined?
Yeah.
It's hard to know. So you can get a chance to look at your soul color, which gives you an idea of how old your soul is. You can see your soul mates. You see those who you've incarnated with in this life, and they'll oftentimes show their human forms. But other people who are part of your soul group will appear in spirit form, or they may not communicate with you all, or you haven't seen them yet.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that journey, it's 3 hours. At the end of the journey, you then go to a room where you get to experience the other lifetimes that you had a choice of and why you chose this one. because I had this one choice of being like a surfer dude out in California.
Yeah.
But that particular life, they wanted someone, believe it or not, this is what, come up with a higher intellect. And who would know that someone who grew up thinking they're stupid with a higher intellect?
Right.
But the circumstances for this lifetime
Yeah.
were more ripe for me to accomplish my goals. And so that's why this was chosen. And there were certain people who were selected.
Yeah.
So people can choose to sacrifice themselves for someone else in a lifetime. So we say soulmates. Soulmates aren't always butterflies and fairy dust. You and I could make a contract to say, I am contracting you in this lifetime to harm you, to create a certain circumstance because you need a lesson to happen.
Yeah.
And so that you will achieve your goal and your lesson.
Yep. You know, that
And that's
also
hard.
gave me purpose. Oh, excuse me. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I was going to say, and that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. Sorry, go ahead.
It is. It really is. And actually, as a matter of fact, when I went into, the first thing I did was a quantum healing hypnotherapy session. So I was introduced to Dolores Cannon's work. I was first introduced to Dr. Michael Newton's work, and I crushed the Journey of Souls series in 4 days. And then I went off because I had not found at that time a practitioner that resonated with, and then Dolores Cannon, quantum healing hypnotherapy, did that. And eventually I came back a few months later, and I was like, okay, that's insatiable thirst, LBL. And the LBL is where I experienced the understanding of the righteousness of some of the things that were done to me in childhood. I had already started the process of forgiveness, but this is where I came into the understanding. It was almost like in that session for me, and I'm elaborating here more for the audience who may not have had it. It was almost like you open a book and it says, guess what? You're going to go and be inserted, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen for this reason, and you agreed to it, and here's why you did that, so that you could do this and this and this. Because if you pull it out, you look at Jenga, for example, you got the building blocks and the foundation for that amazing self that continues to evolve. Because in nature, you're either growing or dying. There's no complacency, no in between, right? A tree, a bush, a rosemary, bush, it's either growing or dying. That's it. Nothing else is happening, right? There's evolution, devolution, done. Right. So it was like, if you don't have these experiences, then you can't reach here. Oh, okay. And you can actually see the benevolence to that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so that just like really helped compress the time for closure, forgiveness, neutrality, and move forward and not carry that anymore. And that's another fascinating aspect of these types of modalities, because I've had where I've went to the therapists that have had all this stuff on the wall, and it's like talk, and you got a little bit of this, you got a little bit of that.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay, come back next week, come back, and do this. That's mind-numbing. Just imagine you can just be comfortable, and in moments of your life that can be taken care of, and then just enlighten you and empower you to reach greater heights faster. Who wouldn't want that, right?
I remember reading a book by Byron Katie called Loving What Is.
Yeah. And actually, Amy's reading that right now. She's reading it right now.
Off.
Yes.
She made me so mad. I got halfway through that book and I threw it across the room because I had just started my work. And she basically was saying, we are responsible for everything that happens in your life. Mm. And I was like, no, this happened to me and that happened to me. And I was so stuck in victim mentality. And it wasn't until I started doing the Life Between Lives when suddenly I was like, wait a minute, I chose this. I made this decision. Wait a minute. And that's when I had to do a lot of self-forgiveness. Because I had to realize that I was so busy, and there's this analogy when you point your finger at someone else saying it's your fault, and then there's three fingers pointing back at you. Mm-hmm. And especially in my
Ooh,
divorce.
that's a good one. I haven't heard that one.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah. Because in my divorce, I was so busy blaming my ex-husband for all my unhappiness. And I read a book, The New Rules of Marriage by Terrence Real. Okay. And I don't care if you're married or not, just to be in relationships, it's a fantastic book.
Right. And 5 love languages, I like that too.
Yes, and the 5 love languages are fabulous too. But what it helped me do was really understand that I was projecting my own wounds. Yeah. He was a wound mate. We have love mates and wound mates.
Interesting.
And when we come together and create a dysfunctional relationship, we're busy trying to heal the unresolved wounds from our childhood.
Right.
And we're projecting them onto our partner. Yeah. They don't stand a chance.
Right.
They don't. And so we are both, my ex-husband and I were setting each other up over and over again. And he kept saying to me, but you're a really good person. And I would I am. I'm not your mother. Yeah. But he was constantly projecting his mother wound on me, and I was projecting my wounds on him.
Right.
And once I was able to take responsibility, and I knew that we had chosen each other to help work this out. And so once I could heal that, then I could move on and hopefully, and this is the thing that people want to see in relationships. Some people keep picking the same people over and over again. They just look different, but they have the same personalities. Like, why do I keep picking narcissists? Why do I keep picking these people who abandon me all the time? It's a mirror. Every single person that is in your life is a mirror of you. We are unable to see ourselves. So we have to look at the people who show up in our lives to show us how we're doing. It's not the other person, it's us. The more we heal, the healthier the people we end up having in our lives. And there was one point where I lost about 10 people in my life. Yep. And I went through a terrible time. And I had a friend of mine said, oh my God, thank God you got rid of those people. They were dragging you down. But I was resonating with them.
Right. Crabs in a bucket was happening, and then all of a sudden you finally broke free.
Yeah.
There's another interesting relation, quantum entanglement is an aspect, I first learned in Reiki, and then I went through Nassim Haramein, nearly most of his quantum physics course, one he put out for free during lockdown, which was amazing. Right. Wow. And with quantum entanglement, for those who don't know, I learned about Reiki is how is it somebody could be sitting in a chair, maybe on a chair too, in Colorado. And another person is in Estonia, which is in, Europe on the other side of the planet. And they could tap into just tell me the person's name and the location. Oh, okay. All right. So what I'm getting is in their lower back, this, and then their right knee, I'm seeing this and I'm feeling this and this energy is coming up. And then they start working on them. And that person is feeling things happen, changes happen, never met the person in this lifetime. Maybe they've never met ever. And you do that, and through quantum entanglement, that is a capability, a benefit of anybody healing things in your life, removing that karma or stopping that pattern from that non-serving pattern anymore from recurring because you've healed it, is it also goes throughout past, present, future, and it can also go through the lifelines. So for example, if you have a issue with abuse, mental, physical abuse, and you have children, right? And it's been a pattern in your life, then it's going to be a pattern in their life. It is. It's just by virtue of who you are and what's imbued in them, both from a genetic imprint as well as an energetic imprint. And interesting play on the words, right? Genetic, energetic. There's a lot of closeness here. Every belief is a lie too. Right. Wordplay. And so by virtue of if you stop that pattern, you take the time and you invest in yourself to go and heal that, then the chances are nearly perfect that won't happen with your children, for example. Again, there is that free will of conscious beings. They may seek it out or be engaged in a situation where that happens. But imagine that you could minimize that and go from like 100% guaranteed it's going to happen to them to 95% it's never going to, maybe 99%.
It's one of the reasons why I do the ancestral, the ancestral work. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I do the ancestral work is because I'm cutting it. I'm not going to have my children. And even though they're raised, I did this work, started doing this work when they were older. It still shifts the DNA and energetically will heal them. And I always find as I shift, so do them.
So do they.
So do they, yes.
Yep. It's wild. And there's also an activation of the strands of DNA as well. So what's amazing too are Lisa and light workers and healers on the planet at this time, like Lisa, with her capabilities. I mean, I haven't actually met everybody with your capabilities, you know, like that let's get everything done here. But it's a thirst for knowledge, which I really appreciate, is you are activating the codes in their etheric body, their rainbow light body, as well as their DNA, the genetic and the energetic at the same point in time. So they don't realize that they are expanding at a more rapid level than maybe their soul signed up for, unless they met somebody like you to be a catalyst for them at all levels of their spirit, which is amazing. It's amazing. It really is, you know? And so, and this can happen in just a matter of an hour to 3 hours. Like, it's incredible, right?
It is incredible work. And I wish, and this is why we're doing this, is to educate people about this, because I didn't know how many people suffer in silence, or, you know, we don't allow ourselves to really sit in pain. There's something called the dark night of the soul. The pain and going into that darkness and then clawing our way out of it creates the transition. It creates that transmutation where we come out the other side, the phoenix. When we start to feel pain, we're now going and take a pill. Let's take another pill. And then we need to take a pill to deal with the side effects of the other pill. And so I tell this story where one of the first, my first speaking gig, my biggest one, was 100 people at McLean Hospital in Boston. And it was in front of the Depression and Bipolar Association. So I was a brand new speaker. I was nervous as heck. And I had a friend who was a stand-up comedian and was a morning drive DJ. And he helped me craft the speech because I wanted humor in there. So I had the speech. I knew it was funny. I practiced it. I get there and I'm on stage and I'm speaking to crickets. Nothing. And as I stood there, I started to speed up, and I'm waiting for that giant cane to pull me off the stage, the old vaudeville cane. And I was terrified, but I held my composure and I continued, because I was like, I'm a professional. I'm going to get through this. I'm having it videotaped and I just want to get through this. I finished speaking. The whole room lit up. Every single hand was up there asking question after question after question. For 20 minutes, I was so confused. And then I realized, the last person who spoke, it's really hard to manage your life when you're so medicated, you can't feel the high highs and the low lows. Number one, when you're a professional speaker, you want to find out who you're speaking in front of.
Know your audience.
I thought I was speaking in front of professionals. I was speaking in front of an entire room of 100 people who were on lithium and heavily medicated.
God, no way. That's awesome. A fully medicated audience.
Fully medicated.
Yeah, exactly.
But I learned something that, you know, this was the lie I taught myself, that they were hating me. It was the farthest thing from the truth. They loved what I had to say. They were fully engaged, but they were so zoned out and zoned in that they couldn't respond because they were so heavily medicated. And it made me so sad, because we have all of these people who are medicating themselves. And I'm not saying not to take medication. I'm not a mental health practitioner. I'm not a medical professional, and I want to go on record with that. But I have helped people who were on antidepressants for 30 years. They came to me for weight loss.
Yeah.
And a byproduct of that was I got a call to say, hey, I'm going off my meds.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yep.
Beautiful. Well, that's awesome. I'd love to keep talking with you. I think we'll end right about
we
here.
were way over.
Because which is totally fine here with part 2, because people, I believe, have tapped in with part 1, and each episode we've covered so much different content. For those that only came in on part 2 and didn't hear about part 1, definitely go back and check that out, because Lisa has these over her house on nearly a nightly basis. Right, good old Vermonter. You have your own Glastonbury stones there.
Yeah, we do.
You went all the way to Glastonbury to do your Reiki Masters, which is amazing, in England.
That's so awesome. Yeah, that's so funny. I work with a lot of healers, and we've been communicating and working with star beings. And that's a whole nother conversation. And what's so interesting, when we started, I talked about how I live in 2 worlds.
Yeah.
The first one was my metaphysical life.
Right.
And the second half was really more of the other work. So it's interesting that your audience will be able to see how I work in both worlds.
Yes. And it's wonderful. It's a bridge, right? And this show, as I've shared a number of times, even when we met yesterday with Louis Herms, this is meant to be a bridge between faith-based patriots and the spiritually enlightened, because both those audiences, and the bridge is closing too, which is awesome, right? It used to be like way over here where you're like spiritually enlightened. Oh, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing Reiki, or I'm doing Qigong. And over here you got faith-based patriots, like I got my 9mm and I'm prepped and I'm ready. And they're wrapped in a flag. And both those audiences have so much to share with each other that now that that confidence is just coming together. It's really amazing, and the openness that each of them have, like just yesterday, how we met is incredible, right? Like whether it was Jason in the south side of Chicago, South Chicago Heights, right? All the way to Mark and David Mahoney in Ireland, right? And they're still like hardcore, like I can say this because Mark told me just after we recorded, he's off to go get a pint of Guinness. But here we are talking about UFOs over his home, and he's built $100 million business, and he's a digital marketing SEO expert, and he's going around, he's activating ley lines. Like, that's amazing to me. And he's former Royal Air Force, right? So you have this unique bridge coming together because everybody is waking up to the fact that there's more to Earth, there's more to mankind that has been taught and that we know of, and that there's other ways to source it. And we are kind of like the news now, right? We are
exactly
now. And that's not the position I want to be in, that you come to us for the news. Just share these things that have all had moments that have been positive impacts in my life, and through folks like Lisa coming on, who has just an incredible breadth of experience, and how often do you get to interview a #1 best-selling author, newly minted as of 2 weeks ago, with "And Every Belief Is a Lie" on Amazon, which you can get now. All links are in the description. On top of that, she's a shaman, she's an alchemist, she's a beautiful divine lioness. She channels Sekhmet. So make sure that divine compassion, you always treat her with great respect. Any of those trolls out there, Seth man is going to come out, maybe unleash that bloodthirst, and book some sessions. All our information is here, as well as the website. As we close the show now, Lisa, the genie in the bottle question I like to ask my guests at the end is, if you could do anything for the world right now, but resources or superhuman capabilities, which we're all tapped into right now, and you're showing an example of it, what would it be? If you could just genie in the bottle, wave a magic wand, what would you do for the world right now?
One of the problems that we're having in Vermont, and I know it's also spread out among other people, is affordable housing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's one of the things that's so hard, because we have 600,000 people in the state of Vermont. They're trying to hire people and there's nowhere to live because the price of real estate keeps skyrocketing. The salaries don't go up. The real estate, there are so many people that are homeless. When I was in Las Vegas, there were people, on the side of the road and stuff. We need to take care of each other. Yeah. The fundamental foundation of survival, we can't do anything unless we have a home.
Yeah.
We need to feel safe and secure, go through Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a home, and then healing centers, so people can feel physically safe. And then, med beds, if those come this way. Actually, in Las Vegas, I was able to experience some scalar wave technology. And I will tell you, it was a powerful experience.
Yeah.
I have an AO scanner that I use. That's like a mini med bed that I use to scan my own body, and it picks up things, and I can do it people long distance. There's so much new technology that's coming out, but I think it's so important that people have the basic fundamentals of safety, security, healthy food. Our food is garbage. It's been destroyed. We're being poisoned by our food, and our health, and a good mindset to help people get through their lives. Because when you're sick and poisoned by all these medications and foods and everything that we're breathing in the air, we're starting so far behind the starting line.
Yeah, well said. Beautiful. Well, thank you very much for imparting your wisdom, your knowledge, sharing your love, your light, and laughter. Such a great and positive, infectious laughter. Just the giggles that you have, and lights up the world. Thank you for being a shining light to everybody, Lisa. And thank you all for tuning in to the Sovereign Soul Show. Please like, subscribe, share to this show, and enable notifications. So when Lisa and other folks like her come back on, you're made available to it. Please, we invite you, and you're welcome to visit Lisa's website, jump on Amazon, grab a copy of her book. It's even on Amazon Kindle. She was sharing with us earlier that you can grab that. And that's just another way, which is great when you read books, especially ones about healing that are already imbued by conscious light workers. There's already energy in the words that have been embodied on those pages. So you're literally picking up the conscious energy and uplifting vibrations with the language that's written there. So how cool is it that you could heal aspects of yourself as a sovereign soul simply by reading words? It's really powerful. It's potent. And I know you
just gave away my secret because I activated the book.
Awesome. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
I activated the book so that people would have healing, and there were keys to help them throughout. But there's exercises, there's videos that you can connect to for healing that I'm working at. The technology should be done shortly, but
beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a pleasure, and what a gift. This was truly a gift. Thank you.
And thank you. I received that, and I thank you. You're welcome. Thank you as well for being on here. Ladies and gentlemen, many blessings to you. Ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, many blessings to you. Cheers, everybody. Have a wonderful night, the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Everybody, I want to tell you about the all-natural quantum wellness products that are used by Tier 1 SpecOps warriors and healers in over 50 countries worldwide. Better yet, this is a patriotic American business that you won't hear about on mainstream news because Big Pharma can't make a penny off something all natural and works, right? And it helps reverse the nasty effects of those toxic arm thingies. You get it, right, Sommerts? This is Roots. So here's the thing. It also dramatically heals your gut. It skyrockets creativity and it boosts mental focus. I've been using it for 8 months. An incredible amount of insight has come into it. When you go to therootbrands.com/soul, use the code SOUL, and you'll get $15 off applied to shipping of your next order. It also increases your biosphere. As a Reiki Master, I can tell you that the vibrational uplift of these products is second to none. So here's the thing, they also have zero in product. This is what rapidly boosts consciousness with intention and decalcifies the pineal gland. What's so good about that? It also gives you incredible amounts of focus without caffeine. This is all natural. When you go to the rootbrands.com/soul, use the code SOUL, you also get a new code for you, and you can set up your own distributor business. In fact, around the world, there are laid off benevolent healers, healthcare heroes, parents, and now tier 1 special operators no longer being deployed who have worked their careers to be benevolent and serve the greater good of humanity. Well, some of those people are making big chunks of money every single month by sharing these all natural products with people. And we're seeing amazing reviews. I mean, even with the Gimme Back My Youth product, which is all natural, there's women claiming their wrinkles have disappeared in just 5 to 7 days, and they look 25 years younger. This is all natural. All of that and more when you visit rootbrands.com/soul. Use the code SOUL, and you get $15 off applied to the shipping of your second order. By the way, when you add Roots Prime shipping, it often ships within just 2 business days to over 50 countries on the planet. And this makes it easy. You set it once, it sends to you every single month. Of course, you can cancel at any time, but when you see and feel the amazing effects of the world's first quantum consciousness, nootropic, and natural detoxifier, then why would you want to? In fact, I just had 3 separate guests on my show, from a psychic to a director, from the UK and Ireland, all the way across North America to a best-selling author. All 3 of these amazing humans are using Roots, and they cannot say enough about its incredible virtues and how it's affected them and made positive impressions on their life and in their biosphere and their ethereal light bodies. So this includes removing the deadly graphene oxide and the heavy metals. Clean Slate is one of those from the system. You know what I mean here. You know, if you know, you know, right? Health is wealth, right? And doctors agree shedding is a thing. We've seen that from Dr. Martin, Dr. Thorpe, Dr. Christian Northrup, Dr. Jane Ruby, Dr. Ariana Love. There are so many medical studies now showing that the shedding from people who have got it, even onto the people that are purebloods, those purebloods are being affected. So the Roots products, the Trinity Plus pack, is one of the most amazing all-natural products that not only protects your body, but anything you've come into contact with, it'll shed and remove it from you with grace and ease. As a major reinsurance CEO in the United States recently declared in his Nuremberg deposition, his company has seen a 5,000% increase in mortality of their policyholders in the past year. So to help combat shedding, you order the Trinity Pack Plus. It comes with the Clean Slate, all right, which is drops that you just put under your mouth, a few a day. You'll find the protocol there, as well as one of these 0-in tablets that give you incredible clarity, creativity, and tap into higher levels of consciousness, which your soul is craving for. And this also helps protect your loved ones naturally, so you detoxify your body while amplifying your day with incredible energy and laser-like focus. Who doesn't want that, right? That's exactly what we have right now. So join tens of thousands of people around the globe now enjoying their best life because of these incredible American-made all-natural health products, which heal the body and massively boost the consciousness of each soul. You go to therootbrands.com/soul, add Roots Prime to it, use the code SOUL at checkout, and you'll get $15 off applied to the shipping of your second order. And they'll send you a link that you can use, if you choose, to have your own distribution business to generate massive amounts, potentially, of monthly recurring income. Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.